Hey guys, Dr. Ryan Davis with Thrive Chiropractic in Montgomery, Alabama. Today I wanted to spend a few minutes discussing a topic that we just talked about on our podcast. So just got off the podcast today with Dr. Jared Boyd in Maryland, and we were talking about tendinopathies. So we really spent over an hour diving deep into the topic of how to properly treat a tendinopathy. It's a very useful podcast for those of you that may be dealing with it. So if you want to listen to the whole podcast, we'll launch it early next week. But I wanted to give you kind of a quick synopsis of it. And I mean a very quick synopsis. Obviously, we don't have much time here, but like I said, the podcast, we dive deeper into it. Tendinopathies are things like Achilles tendinopathy, knee pain or patellar tendinopathy, a hamstring tendinopathy. You even see shoulder tendinopathies like rotator cuff tendinopathies, glute medius or lateral hip pain that's tendinopathy. And what we generally see as far as treatment goes is kind of a initial period of self-treatment that involves resting and stretching and maybe icing. We now know that these are not only ineffective strategies, but a lot of times counterproductive, meaning they actually make the situation worse. Quickly touching on that, rest simply is not effective because it's catabolic to the tendon. It allows the tendon to further degrade during that period of rest. It leads to weakened muscles and a tendon that has less capacity for load than it did before the rest, meaning the likelihood of re-injury, even if the pain went away, would be very, very high. So rest is very counterproductive. Stretching as well. We now know stretching does nothing physiological to strengthen or lengthen the muscle or the tendon. So then the question is, what's the point of the stretching? In fact, the stretching actually becomes more of an irritant. Even though it leads to temporary pain relief, in the long run, it's just added stress to the tendon that doesn't do anything to build capacity of the tendon. So what that means is treatment should shift from this rest and stretching model to building the capacity of the tendon, and that means load. It means treatment has to involve some sort of progressive overload of exercises that build capacity to the tendon. The medical community as a whole are equally at fault because it's often mismanaged in the clinical side of things too, where there's only passive therapy being done, meaning there's some sort of adjusting or manual therapy, massage, or even instrument-assisted treatments like Graston, stuff that we do here in the clinic, but we never do those as standalone treatments. Those are effective in the reactive stage of the tendinopathy, the beginning of the pain, as a way to reduce threat to the system and to decrease the pain a little bit, but it needs to be followed by some sort of loaded exercise progression. And in fact, what the research says is it needs to be very heavy load, meaning it can't be the typical PT exercises that we see with TheraBands and light dumbbells or ankle weights. The research is clear that it needs to be a very heavy load done correctly, meaning the progression needs to be on point. It doesn't mean just go in the gym and lift heavy, but the exercises that actually are going to start building capacity to the tendon are going to be what we call HSR, heavy, slow resistance exercises. These are slow 3-second down, 3-second up exercises with 75% of your 1 rep max. So an example would be if I squatted, 100 and let's say 200 pounds is my 1 rep max squat, then that means I need to be doing these exercises with 150 pounds for 3 sets of 5, something like that, taking as much time, a very slow descent and a very slow up. So 3 seconds down, 3 seconds up. That's what the research says will actually start to, build some more capacity to that tendon. At which point we then need to start going from a strength phase into more of a power phase. So more ballistic or explosive type movements, more stuff like running and jumping, plyometric exercises, and then eventually return to either CrossFit or running or whatever your sport may be. So hopefully that clears up kind of why stretching and rest are poor treatments for tendinopathy, why you shouldn't rely on passive treatments only like ice, cryo, laser, Graston, manual therapy, massage, Those are good in the very beginning, but it needs to quickly transition to these heavy, slow resistance exercises. So check out our podcast. Should launch on Monday, probably Monday or Tuesday. If you have any questions, just reach out to us on Facebook through the Facebook Messenger, or check out our website at www.thethriveway.com. Thanks.